Well, most people think about Google Ads, they think about search, but Google Ads itself is unique as a traffic source. As a major traffic source, it has many channels. You can promote through Gmail, search, YouTube ads, display, discovery ads. Sometimes, depending on the channel, they'll have a different type of bidding strategy, but I'll try to explain as much as possible, at least regarding when it comes to search, which is the most commonly used type of Google Ads, and YouTube ads. So for Google search, you have maximize clicks bidding strategy. What it allows you to do is it allows the campaign to decide what type of a bid they're going to put to get the most amount of clicks for the budget that you have. The pros of using maximize clicks is if you don't know what your right bid is to start off on a campaign and you don't have any conversion data, so this is usually when it's a new account, then it takes out the guesswork as far as deciding what type of bid to start out with. The cons with using maximize clicks is that once starting out, some days it may start out overbidding to a certain extent. So you have to have a little bit of patience when running it. Usually, more times than not, what I've seen is that it may start out at a high point, but eventually it just lowers down and the bid stables at a certain place. So it's one of those things that if you launch it the same day and you see a very high bid, you may freak out. So the way you can counter that, there's two ways. Either if you're very, very cautious and you know for a fact that you do not want to bid above a certain level, maximize clicks allows you to place a bid limit. So for example, if you have maximize clicks and you have $1, the campaign cannot bid more than $1. Of course, if it's a competitive keyword or keywords, then you may or may not get traffic when you do that. The other thing I like to do, preferably, is instead of capping the bid, I like to just have a low budget. If let's just say it blows through my budget in 10 minutes, it's fine. I know that I have to give it a few more days before the bid price is really stabilized, but I'm not overly concerned because of the budget. If I have a very low budget, let's just say something, I don't know, $10 a day, to the extent over 5 days, the most I'm gonna spend is $50 in that campaign. So I'm not overly concerned, as opposed to I start a campaign with $100. It can go through a few hundred, even thousands of dollars in a few days, and then I start worrying. So it's more the psychological aspect of dealing with it. So my advice, if you are starting with maximize clicks, just keep a low budget. Understand that click prices are not gonna be where you want them to be in the beginning, but you have to just have a little bit of patience. Now let's just say you start getting conversions. Another bidding strategy on these search campaigns are maximize conversions. Maximize conversion is exactly what it sounds like. They will try to get the most amount of conversions within and basically spend that budget. I like to use that. Once again, I start getting conversions for search campaigns. I like to use that with a low budget as well. I feel like maximize conversions in general works better with lower budgets. My goal is always to move things to target CPA. In search, they've labeled that bidding strategy a little bit differently. So what you have now in 2022 is that the maximize conversions, you have an option to put a check mark and make it a target CPA. So maximize conversions, you have, let's just say you have $20 budget, it will go through your budget, it will bid all over the place to make sure that you get as many conversions as you can get within that budget. With target CPA, if you put the check mark, it's going to limit, there's gonna be a floor. So it's good in the sense that once you have your campaigns rolling and conversions are coming in, lots of conversions, let's say 50 conversions the last 30 days, target CPA just starts working magically. It will only bid for people that it believes it has intent in that search that are really likely to convert and that conversion that you want. It's usually when a campaign is mature, and that's when you start using maximize conversions, but with target CPA. Two other bidding strategies for search campaigns that are manual CPC. That's what most people already know. You put a bid, and that works out if you already have an idea of what your traffic costs can be. You already know what your funnel works, and you want a little bit of control, especially in the beginning. And you can use manual CPC. You could also have the option of having enhanced CPC. Enhanced CPC, all it does is it says, okay, I want to put a bid. Let's just say I'm bidding $1 on this keyword. But for whatever reason, I have some conversion data, and if Google feels like that person is more likely to convert, I give Google permission to bid a little bit more. Once again, I feel like manual CPC is one of those things that if you already know your funnel, you know your costs, and you really want to have certain type of control and you understand the market and the bids for the market, then it's something really good to start out with. Now, some people stay with manual CPC and that's fine, that's no problem. I personally lean more towards the changes that are happening in these traffic platforms, which are more algorithmic. So I like getting things to target CPA because I'm surprised sometimes that I can have an account working okay in manual CPC and all of a sudden with target CPA, it's just working gangbusters. Now, there's another bidding strategy called maximize conversion value. That obviously is gonna work better for something that has various types of values, an e-com store, things of that nature. Let's just say you have a product, but you have 3 types of products and you have different values. That's when maximize conversion value will come into play. And it's exactly what you're looking for. You're looking to get the most revenue. It's not about the conversions, it's about the conversions is gonna give you the most revenue. Now, with maximize conversion value, you can either just let it run as such and Google figures it out. Let's just say you just started getting conversions. It's always best to do that. Once you have an idea, you can play around with putting a cap that says, hey, I want 2 ROAS, I have 1.5 ROAS, and then the campaign will likely optimize for that. Another strategy that a lot of people don't mention is something called target impression share. Now, impression share is pretty much the percentage of time your ads are gonna show up when someone searches for a certain keyword versus your competitors. So let's just say you're bidding maybe on your brand keyword and you wanna make sure you're at the top. You could bid, it's 100% impression share. You can target to be at the top of the results and you're basically giving Google free reign to decide, hey, I'm going to bid what I need to bid. Usually this probably works best on something that is a brand keyword because you're going to have the best quality score. You're going to have the cheapest clicks anyways. And if you want to make sure that you're in the top results, you can bid for that. You can always play around. I like to test between 70, 80%. You can test 100% and see what makes the most sense. At some point, there's a point of diminishing returns where you're just bidding too high for something that's not going to give you more traffic. So you have to find what that balance is. For YouTube ads, there are 2 basic bidding strategies: maximize conversions and target CPA. I like to start out campaigns with maximize conversions when I have no data. The reason being, I just want to give Google free reign in deciding what the right bid is gonna be as far as getting traffic. So with maximize conversions, they're pretty much changing the CPV bids and deciding, okay, this is where this person is going to get the amount of conversions that they need. Maximize conversions, I recommend using lower budgets when you start out because it will likely spend your budget. The rare case where it doesn't spend your budget is when you have a very small audience. But if you use a Google stock audience or you use a audience that has a bigger size, even if it's a custom segment audience, you're gonna realize that it's gonna spend the budget. So you don't wanna be in a situation where you're getting $10 clicks that first day. Even though the first day is usually not very good, having said that, you still wanna, somewhat control the click costs. So my advice is to have a lower budget than expected and just think of budget, not something in daily, think of some budget, okay, I wanna test this over X amount of days. So this is gonna be my budget that I'm wanting to test and run maximize conversions like that. Once I start getting conversions in the account, just to give you a number, let's just say 50 conversions in the next 30 days, then you wanna move on to target CPA. More times than not, when it comes to scale, target CPA has worked best when I start increasing budgets on campaigns. Maximize conversions, in my experience, in most campaigns, once I get to a certain level, it gets a level of diminishing returns. That could be at $100, that could be at $500 a day. So that's something you have to decide. There are accounts I've seen that have large budgets and maximize conversions is working well, but more times than not, it's usually something with smaller budgets. Once you're starting out an account and testing, eventually you want to get things to target CPA in YouTube ads for scale. Can you start out with target CPA in an account? Of course you can. You can start out, Google has an idea. I don't know how they do it, but they figure out what your advertisers are bidding. So more or less, especially if you're in a common industry, let's just say, I don't know, solar, auto insurance, things of that nature, they already have an idea of what bid works. So you can try bidding for something, and if it works, the traffic, then fine. The reason I don't like starting out with target CPA is because I find myself, if I put a bid and I don't see traffic, I start increasing the bid. But the problem is you don't know what the right time frame is before the change that you make is reflected in the ad platform. So let's just say start out with a $10 target CPA bid and I'm not seeing impressions, and then in an hour I go to $20 target CPA and I'm still not seeing impressions. The next hour I bid it to 30, but now I'm seeing impressions. I don't know if it was because of the change to 30 or the change to 20. So it's one of those things that you want to find a balance for. Now, just because you have a target CPA bid of $10, let's just say, and let's just say your goal is $5, what you're bidding and what your real result is are two different things. Sometimes the higher you bid, the more likely you're going to get traffic in the beginning. Yes, the more likely you may hit a point where your traffic prices may go high, but realize I can be bidding something ridiculous like $50 target CPA, but if my conversions are coming in $5, then, which is where I want it at, cost per conversion, then it's totally fine. Eventually you want to lower the bid. You want to get the bid to a point where it's the lowest you can bid, but you're still getting traffic. And that's just it with target CPA. Don't be afraid to increase the bid to get some traffic in the beginning. But yes, you do want to lower the bid to that level, that base level. Even if you're getting $5 of cost conversion, you could very well realize that your account works well at a $15 bid for target CPA. So just take that into account. And that's it. That's a sum up of the bidding strategies. There are some other bidding strategies for display and so on and so forth. But being that Google search is the most used part of Google Ads and YouTube ads, I think those bidding strategies, that's more than enough that you need. Honestly, in the long term, I'm more focused on maximize conversions or target CPA. I try to get all campaigns to target CPA. It's amazing how well target CPA works most of the time. Now, if you want more tips on Google Ads, YouTube ads specifically, feel free to check out our channel. And if you really want to dig in deep and get into our strategy step by step, join our group. Feel free to book a call with us and see if our course is for you.